Alright, hello everyone, my name is Ryan, and as always, welcome to another episode of Vidja Game Hunting. I haven't put out a video in a very long time for a multitude of reasons, but I could not miss the chance to talk about my favorite weekend of the year, and that is the Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee. This year is the 2019 show, so I'm going to go through some of my pickups, and it was great to more so just go down there and get to meet with people that you've become friends with through YouTube and the community. So we had to run into a lot of awesome people, and that's really what the show is all about. I got to talk to Musty Hobbit, Nintendo Hodge, Business 17, his buddy Ryan, Brandon out of South Dakota, someone we've met more recently through the Fargo Game Exchange. Just the guys' games of beer crew. I got to talk to most of those people. They were very busy. Those guys do great work at MGC. So Rob, Tom, Ryan, Travis, Larry, I spoke to all of them. And then many others, of course, back in the day gamer, TJ, Kitsune. So it was just great. I'm sure I'm missing people. If I forgot you, my apologies, but it was great getting to meet with everyone and meet some of those people for the first time. But let's get into pickups as well, because there's a lot of games at the Midwest Gaming Classic, and this year's show was excellent as always, probably better and bigger than ever in my opinion. But on the way down, we hunted, so we left Fargo, where I'm out of, beating the Midwest storm that was threatening to prevent us from getting there Thursday, so we could do some game hunting along the way on the Wisconsin side on Friday as we headed towards Milwaukee. And in Madison, I picked up a few things here. So I picked up this complete in box power pad. I do have several power pads. I also have the power pad system combo, but I didn't have the standalone retail package. I really don't have room to display this in my game room. Nate, Cartridge Fun, was looking at this also, and he passed on it. And I suspect, because I know Nate very well, that he's already kicking himself for not getting this, and I know he has the room to display it. So I'm keeping this for now, but don't be surprised if you see this in a video on his channel in the future. It'll happen. And I also picked up a couple of NES games. This one I swear I have. It wasn't in my app though, and it was like $5, so I wasn't going to pass the chance to get it. That is Defender 2. Probably a double, we'll find out. And I also got Genghis Khan. I really don't like these strategy games, but when you're trying to get a full set, you have to pick these up, and this one was at a good price. I think it was like $6 or $7. And I also picked up this weird A-Storm N15 flight stick. Clicky, so satisfying. It reminds me of the Neo Geo stuff. So I don't know anything about this controller. It's probably going to be awful. It might be one I have to do a video on and test it against Mario World 1-1. That's always fun. And then I also picked up a complete in box copy of White Men Can't Jump for the Jaguar. Now I've got this on the Jaguar already, but I've been on a really kind of lucky streak this year so far where I found a lot of box copies of games that I already own. So I've been upgrading those and then giving my double carts to Andy from the podcast, We Go Into Podcast, because he just recently got a Jaguar. So I'm basically building both of our collections, which works out well. So that's what we got on the way down. Now let's get into what I picked up at the event. So at the vendor hall at the Midwest Gaming Classic this year, tons of vendors as always, lots of variety, a lot of attendees this year. I don't know if it was just the way it's laid out, but it feels like attendance was way up. So getting to look at a lot of the stuff, especially first day on Saturday, was kind of tough, but definitely some deals to be had and some interesting items to pick up. So I'm going to go through NES stuff first, because as you guys know, I love NES collecting. Typically I bottom feed at the Midwest Gaming Classic, but I'm at the point where I've got 500 NES games from the library, finding those cheap titles that I need isn't really so much a thing. So I kind of picked up some rarer stuff this year, or more uncommon, because I found a great deal on it. We'll get into that later. But let's start off with what you get if you were a VIG purchaser of tickets from the Midwest Gaming Classic. So along with the full event pass Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the after party on Saturday, you also got a custom homebrew Bovinium Quest. And this is a homebrew NES game, exclusive blue cartridge, came in box obviously, for VIG purchasers. So this is really cool, I'll have to check this out. I also purchased a ROM conversion. This is from a Famicom game. He put it on an NES cart, and this is Splatterhouse for the NES. It's a really fun, cute horror game. We've talked about it on the podcast, but now I'm happy to have it in the collection. I also picked up one more homebrew out of the Nintendo Age Room, and this is Kevin Power in Concert Carnage. I don't really know anything about it. It was inexpensive, and it sounded like mindless fun. You just get in a car and run things over. So we'll see. I haven't tried it yet. Also, an interesting pickup, although not a useful one, the Miracle Piano cartridge. I think I paid $10 for this. I don't have the piano. I don't know that I ever will, but I needed to pick this one up yet, so I'm really happy to have that. Now, as I was saying, in general, when you go to a convention, it's safe to assume that prices are not going to be rock bottom. This isn't a garage sale. These are businesses, these are vendors. They're selling things at a reasonable price, but they also have overhead to worry about, costs of setting up. So you see things not overpriced, but usually not, dirt cheap, which is just indicative of a convention. But on occasion, I've seen this once before in Portland at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. You'll get someone who's there just selling their personal collection to unload. They're getting out of the hobby, and this year happened to be the year that this was happening at the Midwest Gaming Classic. My buddies, Andy and Nate and I, we scored a ton of stuff off this guy. Things that I wouldn't normally buy, but I knew I would never find these deals again. Basically what he was doing was he was already cutting prices down, bundling, cutting them even further. By Sunday, he had reduced all of it again. He had a bin full of $30 NES and Super Nintendo games.
3 hours later.
He had marked just flat 10, buy 2, get the third free. It was insane. So I picked up a ton of stuff from him. Let's go through this list. I got Wally Bear and the No Gang. I think this is supposed to be really bad, but we'll give it a shot. I kind of like these American Video Entertainment cartridges. They're weird. Wisdom Tree, or Color Dreams, I guess. Crystal Mines. Donkey Kong 3, which is kind of the weird offshoot of the Donkey Kong series. It's more a shooter than a typical Donkey Kong game. We got Tombs and Treasure. I really don't know anything about this. I just knew I did not have it. I got Crash and the Boys. Again, I don't know anything about this one. I just never see it. It was too cheap to pass up. One I'm excited to finally play. I've never played it before. That is Alfred Chicken. I've heard good things about this. Now we're getting into some better stuff here. DuckTales 2. Really excited to have this. This isn't a game I ever thought I would own, but couldn't pass it up with these deals. I also got Gargoyles Quest 2. This did come with the manual as well. I'm really excited to play this game. I've always heard great things about it. Excited to pop it in. And then a game that I like, it kind of goes under the radar, and that is Widget, which is a little platformer. Kind of difficult and cheap with enemy placements, but it's fun. And then I've got another stack of NES games here. I think these all came from Buzzy. If you're familiar with Bad Graphics Gamers on YouTube, he's part of that. I did a bundle deal with him, so I picked up a game I've been wanting for a long time. I got it at a great price, excellent condition. Felix the Cat. I was a huge fan of Felix the Cat growing up. Loved the cartoon. It's just great animation. Nate kind of made me want to get this game after he picked it up and said it was pretty good. So that's Digger T-Rock, Milton Bradley game. One that I see, but always in poor condition, had to get it, Rollerblade Eraser. I don't expect much out of that, or this one, being an LJN title, and that is Wolverine. Gotta love that cover art, though. Good cover art. And I wanted to get this. I have it on the Aladdin Deck Enhancer, but I wanted to get the standalone Camerica cart, and that is Micro Machines. Probably Camerica's best game. I don't know. I have a lot of nostalgia for Micro Machines growing up with them, obviously, so that's probably part of it, but it is not a bad game. And then, I got a few pickups from, I think there were some more. I might have misplaced what oh, that's right, I bought some games for my son, so that's where some of those are. Our buddies, Mobile Game World, they travel all over our area, Upper Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, North Dakota. They always have good prices and good stuff, so I found a few games off of them I needed for the collection. Motor City Patrol. I don't ever come across this game. I don't know why that is, but I wanted to pick it up. And then they also had a good price on A Nightmare on Elm Street, which has come down in price from where it used to be a couple years ago. Not a bad get. I've heard it's okay for an LJN game. And then one last thing off of their table, and this was a trade. So I had brought you might have seen if you follow me on Twitter, I had a chromed out, like metal Dreamcast arcade fight stick that I had gotten from my buddy Andy. I was super excited to have it in the collection, and then as he dropped it off and left my game room, he just looked at me and said, "Good luck storing that." And that has cycled in my head. Good luck storing that. Good luck storing that. Head. Good luck storing that. Good luck storing that. And then 6 weeks later, I look over, and that fight stick is still sitting on the floor in the middle of my game room. And I came to the realization that I have nowhere to put this. So as cool as I think this fight stick is, as much as I want it, it is going to go into a box. And at that point, it should be with a collector who is going to use it and appreciate it more. And Jason, TJ Kitsune on YouTube, he's a huge Sega Dreamcast fan. He did not have it. I knew he was going to be at MGC, so I offered it to him. I just felt like it should go to someone who would appreciate it more. So we did a trade. He gave me, I think it was 3 Nintendo DS games. I had one of them already, and I'm not a big DS guy. So what I did was then I took those games and I traded them in with Mobile Game World, and I got something amazing that I missed because I didn't realize when it had come out. And I'm kind of over Amiibo. You hear me complain about them a lot, but I still buy them. I had to get this one of my favorite games, one of my favorite game series. I got the Diablo Loot Goblin Amiibo. So thank you, Mobile Game World. Thank you, Jason, for the trade, because this is probably my favorite thing that I brought home. Really happy to have it, and it's going to go on the shelf. And it fits in my game room so much better than a big old fight stick. So when you're trading things, it's not always about, you know, how much something is worth and what you get back out of it. It's just if you end up with something that you really love out of the deal, and in this case, I did, which was great. Now, we've got some more pickups. Hold tight. Alright, so on to some more pickups. If you're a fan of the Guys, Games, and Beer podcast, you'll probably be familiar with a band called Lords of the Trident. They're a metal, I guess I would call them like a fantasy metal band. You know, the members all don a persona. You know, it's like fantasy lyrics in their songs. But they're also really talented musicians and put out some great music. And they happen to be doing an acoustic show. They put out a new album recently, and they pressed it on vinyl as well. I'm a big vinyl enthusiast. So I picked up Lords of the Trident. Shadows from the Past is a double LP, blood red vinyl. Was their selling point. I couldn't pass it up. I had to take it home with me. So it was very cool. I'm going to listen to that after I get done with this, probably while I'm editing. And then I have some awesome friends that I traveled down there with. And Nate, Cartridge Fun, saw that I wanted this the first day, and I wouldn't buy it for myself. I thought about it, but he was buying one anyway, and he just graciously picked one up for me too. So I got this Luigi Japanese import clock. That's made by Taito, which I think is weird. I have no idea how this works. I'm going to have to get a Google Translate app to like read through the instructions if I can't figure this out. It is a clock, so I'm hopeful that I can figure it out, but I might struggle. So that was cool. Thank you, Nate. And speaking of things that people bought me, Andy, who I've mentioned that I am giving all my Jaguar doubles to, he got a deal on Tempest 2000 for the Jaguar. Excellent game, arguably one of the best, if not the best. And in that deal, he also got thrown in Baldies. This is a factory sealed copy of Baldies. Hopefully that's not glaring too much with this protective case for the Jaguar CD. It is a little caved in. I think the shrink wrap shrunk over the years, so it collapsed this box. But it's factory sealed, which is just fine because I don't have a Jaguar CD. Maybe I will someday, but I'm a huge enthusiast of the Jaguar, so to have this to just put on the shelf is going to be great. I did see a Jaguar CD for sale. It was not in a box, and it was $500, so needless to say, I did not take that home. Thank you, Andy, for that. That is awesome. I also picked up a game I didn't have for the Jaguar. That is Pinball Fantasies. It's pretty hard to screw up pinball, so I'm hopeful that this is a good game. You never know on the Jaguar. And then, again, with upgrades on the Jaguar, I got a complete minty copy of Checkered Flag. I have a loose copy. The label's not that great. And this is $20. Couldn't pass it up. So this is a lingering one from the guy who was doing the bundle deals and the discounts. Picked up Saturday Night Slam Masters. This is my free game of the buy two, get one free. Been wanting that for a while, and I just never find it. A couple of Turbografx games. I'm not really sure why I bought these. I do have the EverDrive now, so I don't generally look at Turbografx, but these were cheap, and they were in front of me, so I just grabbed them. I got Davis Cup Tennis, just loose hue card. And I also got Kickboxing with the shell and instruction manual. And then Chris Kohler, if you're familiar with him at all, he happened to be at MGC this year, and he was selling a few things along with some of his books. And I got a very clean copy of Bust a Move 4 for the Dreamcast. Again, this is in a sleeve, so you might not be able to see it. I'll take a better picture and overlay that. And yeah, that is all I got from the show. I think I brought home the least amount of stuff that I've ever brought home from MGC, but I brought home some of the best stuff as far as quality, and a lot of games I'm really excited about. With these games that I've picked up, I'm officially over 500 games in my NES collection, which is crazy that I've gotten that far. And I'm getting into the more expensive stuff, so we'll see. There are certain games that I will likely never own, but I'm going to get as close as I can to a full set. Now, I do have a couple more pickups from the way out of, or the way back home, and I will show you those right now. Okay, so on the way back we stopped in like a book, geek culture store. It wasn't Barnes & Noble's, I forget what the branding was, but they had this game here, the game console, which I've been wanting for a while. It's basically just a nice illustration of every system released. It's not super in-depth, it's more of a coffee table book, but it does break down everything and show the components making up the controllers and the guts of the systems in most cases, so you can kind of see the evolution of the processors and the boards as well. Very cool, happy to see that. I've heard about it, I just am not one to order books online generally, so when it was in front of me I couldn't pass it up. And then my last two humble pickups at a pawn shop, I got Winter Games for the NES. Nothing exciting, I just did not have it. And then one I'm pretty excited about because I had a killer deal on this. That is Booger Man, a pick and flick adventure. Interesting game, pretty fun, I will say. So yeah, there you go. There is another year at MGC. It was a blast. The sad reality is you never have enough time to do everything. You never have enough time to really get to talk to everyone. It comes and goes so fast. This year more than ever, I feel like maybe that's because I traveled with a larger group out of Fargo. So we were all busy hanging out, so getting to anything else was tough. But again, to anyone I ran into, it was awesome getting to meet everyone. It was great getting to hang out. It was great getting to pick up some games. I can't wait for MGC next year. Maybe we won't have a blizzard for a change next year. We can only hope. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.